Iron stoves didn't save frontier families. They exhausted them. One man ignored Western design entirely and trusted a Chinese invention that stored heat long after the fire died. Frontier winters didn't test bravery. They tested systems. Most families believed warmth came from effort, more chopping, more feeding the fire, less sleep. They survived by burning themselves down alongside their fuel. But one pioneer carried a different understanding of heat, learned far from the frontier, in a place where cold had already been studied instead of fought. As you watch this story, decide this for yourself. When survival depends on design instead of endurance, would you recognize the smarter solution before exhaustion forces you to stay until the end? Because this isn't just a story about staying warm. It's about how one ancient idea quietly defeated everything the frontier trusted. The invention he saw in China was called the Kang. In northern China, where winters stretch endlessly and the air dries skin until it cracks, the Kang was not furniture. It was infrastructure. It was not built for comfort in the modern sense. It was built to solve a problem that never forgives mistakes: how to survive cold without exhausting the body, the fuel supply, or the mind. At first glance, the Kang looked unimpressive. A raised platform of brick, stone, or packed earth. Flat, heavy, almost crude. Travelers unfamiliar with its purpose often mistook it for a bench or a bed made from excess material. But the simplicity was deceptive. Inside that mass lived one of the most efficient heating systems ever devised without metal, electricity, or moving parts. The Kang was hollow. Beneath its surface ran a network of winding smoke channels, carefully shaped and deliberately indirect. These channels were not shortcuts. They were delays. Each turn forced hot exhaust gases to slow down. Each bend increased the surface area in contact with brick and clay. Instead of allowing heat to escape upward, the Kang forced it to surrender its energy into the structure itself. Every brick absorbed warmth. Every channel transferred heat. Nothing rushed. Nothing escaped unused. This was the fundamental difference between survival heating and convenience heating. The Kang did not chase warmth. It captured it. The platform heated slowly. There was no immediate reward, no rush of heat when the fire was lit. But once warm, the Kang became a quiet reservoir of energy. Long after the fire died, long after smoke cleared the flue, the platform continued to radiate gentle, even warmth into the room. Families did not merely sleep on it. They organized their lives around it. Children did homework there. Elders rested there. Meals were eaten there. Tools were repaired there. In winter, the Kang became the heart of the household, not because it was warmest at any given moment, but because it was reliable. It did not demand constant attention. It did not punish forgetfulness. It did not require waking in the dark to feed it. It gave time back. When the pioneer reached his frontier homestead, the resemblance struck him immediately. The land was different, but the conditions were the same. Dry cold that cut through clothing. Long nights. Endless labor spent cutting, hauling, and protecting firewood. The same mistake repeated everywhere. Settlers chased heat instead of managing it. Iron stoves dominated the frontier. They were loud, dramatic, and convincing. Light the fire, and the room warmed quickly. But that warmth vanished just as fast. The moment the flames died, the cold returned. Iron stoves turned families into servants of their own fires. Someone always had to wake up. Someone always had to feed it. Someone always paid the cost. The pioneer saw the trap clearly. Metal heats air. Air does not hold heat. Brick holds heat. So instead of copying his neighbors, he adapted the Kang. But he scaled it down. This was not a Chinese household with extended family and generations under one roof. This was a frontier cabin with limited space and limited materials. The principle remained the same, even if the size changed. He dug a shallow cavity beneath his bunk, not deep enough to weaken the structure, but deep enough to anchor mass. He lined it with clay bricks, chosen for density, not appearance. Above it, he built a compact raised platform just large enough for sleeping, not luxurious, just sufficient. Inside that platform, he constructed winding flue channels sealed with clay mixed with straw. This mixture mattered. Pure clay cracked as temperatures changed. Straw gave it flexibility, allowing the structure to breathe without breaking. The channels were sealed carefully, ensuring smoke would never leak into the sleeping space. A small firebox outside the bunk fed hot gases into the channels. This separation was critical. Fire remained external. Smoke traveled beneath the bed, transferring heat into the mass before exiting cleanly through a short flue. No smoke inside, no risk of suffocation, no lingering ash in the living space. This was the breakthrough moment. Iron stoves heat air. The Kang heats mass. Metal warms fast and cools fast. Brick warms slowly and releases heat slowly, like a thermal battery charged once and spent over many hours. Neighbors did not understand it. Some feared sleeping above smoke. Others joked that a foreign bed stove would never survive frontier winters. A few warned that the clay would crumble, that the channels would clog, that it was a foolish experiment built from borrowed ideas. The pioneer did not argue. He waited for winter. When the first major storm arrived, it did not come gently. Snow buried the land. Temperatures plunged. Wind stripped heat from everything exposed. This was the moment when theories collapsed and systems revealed themselves. Each evening, the pioneer lit one controlled fire. Not a roaring blaze, not desperation heat. A steady burn designed to charge the mass beneath his bed. As dusk fell, the bricks absorbed warmth slowly. By bedtime, the fire was nearly out, yet the platform was only just beginning to release heat. While other settlers rose repeatedly through the night to feed iron stoves, he slept undisturbed. By morning, his cabin was still warm, not barely tolerable, warm. No frost formed inside. No ice crept along walls. Breath did not crystallize in the air, and his woodpile told the real story. He used nearly 60% less firewood than his neighbors. That difference was not comfort. It was survival margin. Less chopping meant less exposure to storms. Less hauling meant fewer injuries. Less fuel consumption meant security during supply failures. Time saved became strength saved. Visitors noticed immediately. Some described the cabin holding warmth like an oven stone. Others said touching the bed felt like sunlight trapped in brick. People arrived hours after the fire had gone out and still found the air warmer than iron stove-heated homes that had burned fuel all night. The Kang also changed the quality of warmth itself. Iron stoves blasted uneven heat. Faces overheated while feet froze. The air dried painfully, throats burned, smoke lingered. The Kang radiated warmth evenly from below. Feet stayed warm. Bodies warmed gradually. Humidity remained stable. Sleep came easier. Mornings arrived without coughing or raw lungs. Even more impressive was durability. Metal stoves cracked, rusted, warped, needed replacement parts. The Kang had no moving parts, no metal to fatigue. Occasional resealing of joints was enough. Its strength came from mass and simplicity. It ignored rapid temperature swings and lasted decades. Then came the winter that changed everything. Temperatures dropped lower than expected. Supply routes failed. Firewood ran out. Some families burned furniture. Others tore apart fences. Panic spread quietly through cabins as nights grew colder. The pioneer did not change his routine. One fire, one evening burn. His kang had stored enough heat to carry him through the night while other cabins froze from the inside. That was the turning point. Skepticism became curiosity. Curiosity became imitation. Settlers asked him to help design their own versions. Some built full platforms. Others heated benches or bunks for children and elders. A few integrated cooking stoves, using one fire to cook food and heat beds, just as Chinese families had done for generations. Winter life changed. No more waking in darkness to dying fires. No more anxiety over running out of fuel before dawn. No more endless woodcutting just to survive. This ancient design did not just heat homes. It gave families back their evenings, their energy, their sleep. And in winter, sleep is life. That bed didn't win against winter by working harder. It won by remembering something everyone else forgot. While the frontier trusted noise, effort, and exhaustion, this system trusted patience. While others burned through nights and firewood, this one decision kept working in silence. No heroics, no suffering for pride, just a design that understood how heat actually behaves. That's the part that lingers. Not that it was foreign, not that it was old, but that it was smarter than everything around it. So, here's the real question. If you were standing there, watching a man sleep through the night, while everyone else fed dying fires, would you have dismissed it, or would you have stopped and asked why? Tell me in the comments which side you would have been on. And if stories like this change how you see survival, engineering, and forgotten knowledge, subscribe. Because the ideas that matter most aren't loud. They last.